They told me the job would be easy: clean a few trays, refill the soda machine, and stay behind the counter at night. But no one mentioned the flickering pinball machines that whisper your name, or the fact that the menu changes on its own after midnight. I thought it was just a quirky arcade with a retro vibe. But the moment I read the employee handbook, I knew something was very wrong. Because rule number 3 was simple but terrifying. If you hear yourself calling for help, do not respond. My name's Derek, and I just turned 21. After dropping out of college and burning through my last job at a call center, I didn't have many options left. That's when I saw a strange Craigslist ad titled, "Night Food Court Attendant Wanted, $25 per hour. Fun atmosphere." I clicked it without much thought. The address? A rundown arcade in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood. I remembered going there as a kid, back when the air still smelled like fresh popcorn and the carpets weren't sticky with old soda and whatever else had soaked in over the years. Now it stood like a relic from the 80s. Lights still blinking, faded posters of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter peeling off the walls. The arcade was called Pixel Playland, and the food court was just a narrow row of booths between the retro cabinets and the old prize redemption counter. It didn't take long to get hired. The manager, a tired woman named Ms. Griggs, barely looked up from her clipboard during the interview. Her voice was raspy, like someone who'd inhaled too many cleaning fumes or screamed too often into the void. "You'll start tonight," she said, 11:11 sharp, "and read the handbook. The rules are not flexible." I laughed. She didn't. That night, I showed up 5 minutes early, hoodie pulled tight against the February chill. Chicago winds are no joke. The door was unlocked, but the interior lights were low. Everything hummed quietly. The vending machines, the freezer in the food prep area, even the token dispensers. At the counter sat a thick red binder labeled Employee Handbook, Pixel Playland Night Shift. The edges were frayed, pages stained. A sticky note stuck to the front read in red ink. "Follow the rules, or you won't last long." I flipped it open and began to read. The rules. Night shift food court worker. 1. Arrive no later than 11:11 p.m. Never earlier. Never later. 2. Turn on the fryer, the soda machine, and the candy warmer, in that order. If you hear them activate out of sequence, leave immediately. 3. If you hear someone who sounds exactly like you calling for help, do not respond. 4. The boy in the red hoodie will approach your counter at exactly 12:06 a.m. Give him what he asks for, even if it's not on the menu. 5. Do not attempt to enter the storage room after 1 a.m. If you hear knocking from inside, ignore it. 6. If the claw machine turns itself on, unplug it immediately. Do not look at what it grabs. 7. If the arcade goes silent, count to 7 and cover your eyes. Do not peek. Do not move. 8. You may see other employees. You are the only one scheduled. Do not engage. 9. When your shift ends at 5:55 a.m., walk backwards to the exit. Do not turn around, even if someone calls your name. At first, I thought it was some kind of sick joke, an old prank on new hires. But then I noticed the timestamp on the bottom corner of the page. Revised, January 5th, 2025. That was just a few weeks ago. I looked up at the flickering digital clock above the soda fountain. 11:11 p.m. Exactly. Like something clicked into place. The arcade let out a low mechanical groan, and the lights over the food court buzzed to life. The machines began blinking with multicolored LEDs. Skee-ball counters spun up. Animatronic figures at the pizza booth twitched before going still again. Okay, I thought. I'll play along. It's probably just some weird way to haze rookies. I followed the setup routine. Fryer first, then the soda machine, then the candy warmer. Each one buzzed to life obediently. The smell of cheap oil filled the air. Something about it made me dizzy, but I shook it off. Midnight rolled in without much fanfare, except for the way the vending machine by the restrooms made a metallic clunk, like something got stuck in its gears. Then came 12:06 a.m. I was wiping down the plastic trays when I saw him. A boy, maybe 10 years old, stood at the counter. Pale skin, black eyes, red hoodie stained with something dark, ketchup, maybe, or blood. He didn't speak at first, just stared. Then he pointed at the menu board. "I want a number 9, he said. I glanced at the backlit menu. There was no number 9. It ended at 8. Popcorn chicken, nachos, pizza slice, hot dog, etc. I don't think we have that," I stammered. He didn't blink, just repeated, "Number 9. Remembering the rule, I nodded quickly. "Sure, one number 9 coming up." I turned toward the prep area, but there was nothing resembling a number 9. Every drawer and heating rack I opened was empty or filled with unidentifiable scraps, gray meat, shredded lettuce, something that twitched. I grabbed a paper tray and, without thinking, threw together a pile of the weirdest items I could find. Some rubbery jerky, dry fries, a red sauce packet that smelled like cinnamon and metal. I set it in front of him. He stared at it, smiled, and walked away without a word. It only got worse from there. Around 1:30 a.m., I heard footsteps echoing through the arcade. They were heavy, boots maybe, and whoever was kept circling the claw machine. Eventually, the machine powered itself on. I froze, remembered rule number 6. My heart pounded in my chest. The claw moved on its own, descending into the pit of dusty plush toys. It grabbed something I couldn't see, something black and wet. As it rose, I lunged forward and yanked the plug from the socket. The machine powered down with a high-pitched whine. I didn't look in the claw's grip. I didn't want to. At 2 a.m., the arcade went completely silent. No beeping, no humming, not even the soda machine dripping. Just dead air. I remembered rule number 7. Count to 7. Cover your eyes. I dropped behind the counter, curled up, and pressed my hands over my face. 1. I heard faint breathing, close. 2. The scent of burnt sugar filled the air. 3. Something brushed my shoulder. 4. It whispered, "Derek." 5. It sounded exactly like me. 6. I clenched my fists, held my breath. 7. Then a pop, like a balloon bursting in water, and it was gone. I stayed hidden another 10 minutes before I dared to look. The arcade lights were back. The soda machine sputtered out a fresh stream of cola. By 3:45 a.m., I was a wreck. Tired, jittery, and drenched in sweat. That's when I saw her. Across the court, by the coin pusher, stood another food court worker. She wore the same blue polo, had the same name tag, only it was my face. Same eyes, same scar on the cheek from when I fell off my bike as a kid. She smiled and waved. I looked down at my hands, trembling. Rule number 8 flashed in my mind. Do not engage. I turned away, stared at the fryer. When I looked back, she was closer, maybe 10 feet away, still smiling, no blinking. She mouthed something. "I'm real. You're not." I backed toward the sink, nearly slipping. Closed my eyes, counted backwards from 10. When I opened them again, she was gone. Only a greasy footprint remained on the tile. At exactly 5:55 a.m., the arcade lights flickered red. A soft jingle played over the PA system, an old tune I vaguely recognized, like an off-brand lullaby. I remembered the final rule: walk backward to the exit. Do not turn around. The doors leading outside stood wide open, just past the pinball row. I took one step back, then another. My knees were shaking. Halfway across the arcade, I heard something behind me. Shuffling, giggling, metal grinding. Then a voice, raspy and cruel, but it mimicked my mother's tone. "Derek, honey, where are you going?" I bit my tongue, took another step, then another. As soon as my foot touched the welcome mat by the front entrance, I was thrown into a rush of cold air. I turned forward. The sun was rising over the skyline. I made it. That was my first night. Somehow, I followed the rules. Survived. But Ms. Griggs? She didn't ask how it went. Didn't offer congratulations. She just handed me a punch card and said, "For more shifts until benefits kick in." For more shifts. I looked down at the punch card. There were 7 slots. Only one was punched. I didn't say anything. I didn't quit. But I wish I had. Because I just found a new rule in the handbook this morning. One that wasn't there before. On your second shift, the boy in the red hoodie brings someone with him. Do not look at his face. I made it through my first night at Pixel Playland. I followed every bizarre rule. Ignore my doppelganger. Served food that shouldn't exist. And didn't answer when I heard my own voice screaming for help. I thought I was safe. I thought the worst was over. But tonight, the handbook had a new rule. One that chilled me to the bone. On your second shift, the boy in the red hoodie brings someone with him. Do not look at his face. What happens if I do? I found out the hard way. I should have walked away. I should have told Ms. Griggs to shove that punch card and her $25 an hour job straight down a garbage disposal. But instead, I went home, slept 3 hours, maybe, and came back the next night at exactly 11:11 p.m. Why? I wish I could say it was just desperation, or that I didn't believe any of it was real. But the truth is, I felt something after that first shift, something pulling me back, like I'd been hooked by an invisible line. Maybe it was the boy's eyes, or the fake version of me smiling across the court, or maybe, deep down, I knew this place wouldn't let me go. When I arrived, the arcade was already humming. That was the first red flag. The handbook clearly said never arrive early. But my watch read exactly 11:11, and yet the skee-ball machines were already running. Chimes from the DDR console echoed through the air like distant war drums. I stepped inside anyway. The red binder was back on the counter, open this time. Its pages were flipped to a new set of instructions, as if someone, or something, had already prepped it for me. A note written in shaky ink was scrawled across the top. Do not try to leave early. The building knows. My stomach sank. Then I saw it. A new rule had been added since last night. Additional rule, night 2. 10. Tonight, the boy in the red hoodie brings a friend. Do not look at his face, no matter what it says. I swallowed hard and kept reading, hoping that was it. But it wasn't. Another note was taped beneath it. If you hear the token machine laughing, unplug the jukebox. Immediately, the fryer hissed behind me, even though I hadn't turned it on yet. Another red flag. Still, I followed the procedure. Fryer, soda machine, candy warmer. This time, everything buzzed in the right order. At exactly 12:06 a.m., I heard the unmistakable shuffle of sneakers against the sticky tile. The boy was back, but he wasn't alone. The first thing I noticed wasn't the boy. It was the silence. Every machine cut off like someone had yanked the power. The air was still, dense with electricity. I peeked over the counter. There he was, standing in the same exact spot, pale face and black eyes fixed on me. He wore the same red hoodie, the same faint ketchup blood stain across the chest. But beside him stood someone taller, thin, with long, awkward limbs that seemed jointed wrong. He was wearing a mask. Not a Halloween mask, but one of those cheap, white plastic ones you'd find in the back of a party store. Blank, expressionless, the kind you'd were to disappear. And that's what made him terrifying. He didn't move, not even to breathe. The boy spoke first. "Number 9. I nodded quickly, remembering last night. "Got it." I turned toward the prep station and began assembling another abomination of a meal. This time, the fridge door swung open by itself. Inside was a tray of wet, glistening meat shaped like fingers. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed one and tossed it into the fryer. From behind me, I heard it. A voice. Not the boy's. Something deeper, like gravel and honey mixed together, warped through a busted speaker. "Don't you want to know who I am?" I froze. My hand hovered above the sauce station. "Just one look," the voice said. "Well, not so different." I squeezed my eyes shut. Did not look at his face. The fryer bubbled violently behind me. I tossed the tray together blind, barely opening my eyes enough to aim. Then I set it on the counter, slid it toward the boy, and stepped back. When I dared to look up again, they were gone. I should have felt relief, but the air only got colder. That's when I noticed the token machine. It was vibrating. At first, I thought it was just the compressor, but then the slot began spitting out tokens. 1, then 5, then a torrent of them. They poured out onto the floor in a flood of dull clinks. And then it laughed. A high-pitched, childish giggle. But it didn't stop. I remembered the note. Unplug the jukebox. Immediately, I sprinted past the soda fountain and lunged behind the music booth. The jukebox, a massive retro-style beast with neon rims, was humming faintly. I yanked the cord from the wall just as a slow, distorted tune started to play. Something between a nursery rhyme and a funeral march. The laughter stopped. The tokens on the floor began to rattle, then burst into flame. I stared, jaw slack, as they burned themselves to ash in seconds. No smoke, no smell. Just silent, smoldering piles of black dust. It was only 1 a.m. I had nearly 5 hours left. That's when the claw machine powered on. I didn't wait this time. I sprinted straight to the outlet and unplugged it without looking up. But just as I turned, I caught a glimpse in the reflection of the game's glass. The prize in the claw wasn't a toy. It was a hand. My hand. A blue wristband still attached, one I'd been wearing all night. I ripped it off my arm immediately and threw it across the room. At 2:12 a.m., the lights dimmed again. The silence returned. I dropped to my knees, hands over my face, and counted to 7. But this time, something new happened. Instead of the whispering or breathing, I heard static, like an old television trying to find a signal. And underneath it, voices, familiar ones. My dad, who passed 3 years ago. My little sister. My old roommate I hadn't seen since dropping out. They were all calling my name. Softly, lovingly. "Derek, come out. It's okay. You're safe now." I bit my lip until it bled. When I reached 7, the voices cut off instantly. The arcade resumed. By 4 a.m., I was convinced something had shifted. The layout was wrong. The path between the booths and pinball machines had become a loop, repeating itself over and over. I walked past the air hockey table 6 times, and each time, it was more rusted than before. On the 7th pass, it was covered in what looked like teeth. Then the smell hit me. Burnt hair and copper. The fryer sizzled violently, oil snapping upward like fingers reaching. I backed away, and that's when I saw them. Behind the counter, standing shoulder to shoulder. 3 figures, all in red hoodies, all with identical, pale faces. Each wore a smile so wide their lips cracked. And behind them, taller, darker, was the man in the mask. His face was still covered, but now his mask was cracked, revealing part of his jaw. It was too wide, too many teeth, no lips, just bone and grin. He raised a finger and pointed at me, then said one word, "Tomorrow, at 5:55 a.m. The jingle played again. I didn't wait for the lights to change. I backed out, carefully, precisely, never turning, even as I felt something breathing against my neck. Outside, the morning sun nearly blinded me. The moment I stepped into the cold, the air shifted. Normal sounds returned. Cars, birds, wind. But in my pocket, something pulsed. I reached in and pulled out a token. It wasn't from the arcade. It was bone white, etched with something in a language I didn't recognize. Back home, I peeled off my uniform and collapsed on the couch. I hadn't even made it into bed when my phone buzzed. A message. No number. Just text. Shift 3 confirmed. Arrival expected at 11:11. Attached was a photo. It was me, standing behind the food court counter, but with no face. Just smooth skin. And in the reflection of the fryer, I could see the masked man standing behind me. You'd think I'd quit after seeing 3 copies of the boy in the red hoodie and the masked man pointing at me like he'd picked his next toy. But here I am, back for shift 3 at Pixel Playland. The handbook had another rule. This time, it didn't come with a number, just a warning scratched into the cover itself. Tonight, you must play the mirror game. Lose, and your reflection gets to leave instead. I didn't want to play, but once you've looked into the mirror at this place, it already knows you. I didn't sleep. After shift 2, I tried. I shut the blinds. I turned off my phone. I even took an old Xanax I'd been hoarding since 2020. Nothing worked. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw that photo, the one the arcade texted me. My faceless self behind the counter. The masked man leering in the fryer's reflection. That smile haunts me. By the time 11:11 p.m. rolled around again, I didn't even have to decide whether I was going back. I was already standing at the front doors. The glass doors opened before I touched them. Inside, the arcade looked cleaner, brighter even. All the neon signs were lit, and the games hummed with a soft, cheerful tune. The air smelled like cotton candy and melted plastic. Too normal. That's when I saw it, the red binder. Except this time, it was open to a new page with something different. Tonight's shift, reflections, and reckoning. 11. Do not approach the funhouse mirror unless instructed. 12. If your reflection moves on its own, run. 13. At 2:33 a.m., you must play the mirror game. You must play to win. You must win to survive. Failure to comply will result in permanent reflection displacement. There was something handwritten beneath the last line, scribbled in shaky, smudged ink. I lost. It walks around in my skin now. Please win. The fryer hissed, already hot. The token machine didn't laugh this time. That somehow made it worse. 12 a.m. The boy in the red hoodie came again. This time he didn't speak, just stared, longer than before. He placed a crumpled dollar bill on the counter, but it wasn't real currency. It had my face on it, smiling, and when I blinked, he was gone. There was no meal ordered tonight, no finger-shaped meat, no candy dish from a parallel fridge. Just silence. Something was building. 12:47 a.m. I heard a voice. Not like the last nights. This one was clearer. Familiar. It was my mom. She passed away when I was 17. But now, she was calling my name from the back of the arcade, behind a row of claw machines that had once held my severed hand. "Derek, sweetie, come on. I'm waiting." I gritted my teeth. It wasn't her. It couldn't be her. Still, my legs moved. Step by step, I was drawn past the blinking lights, past the malfunctioning dance pad, to the rear wall, where an old funhouse mirror now stood. It hadn't been there before. I don't just mean tonight. I mean ever. This arcade doesn't even have a funhouse section. But there it was, tall and curved, framed by flickering bulbs, and written across it in fog, "Let's play." I tried to turn back. I really did. But the mirror pulsed with this invisible gravity. I stepped closer. My reflection did the same. Then it smiled. I didn't. My heart stopped. 1 a.m. The mirror game begins. The moment I looked fully into the glass, the world behind me faded. Not darkened. Not disappeared. Just changed. Like the mirror was now the real world, and everything else was background noise. My reflection spoke first. "You're tired." "I'm not. I'm better." It stepped forward, pressing against the glass like it could bleed through. "You can leave," it said. "All you have to do is let me out. One night off. Just one." I shook my head. It grinned. "Then we play." Suddenly, I was no longer looking at the mirror. I was inside it, except it wasn't quite a mirror anymore. It was a reverse version of Pixel Playland. Every detail flipped. Even the logo on the counter was backward. The air was cold. Off. The machines moved in slow motion. The boy in the red hoodie was there too. Only his hood was blue, and his eyes were sewn shut. He whispered, "Pick the right one." 3 mirrors stood before me now. One showed my reflection smiling. One showed it crying. The third showed me screaming, face half burned, mouth wide in agony. Only one door was real. Only one would let me leave. I had to choose. The first door. I went with the crying reflection. It seemed the least threatening, less malevolent. The mirror cracked as I touched it, and I stepped through, into a hallway filled with faceless versions of myself. They moved like mannequins, jerky and wrong. Each one wore my old work uniform. They whispered things as I passed. "Waste of skin. Should have died with her." She begged. "You let her drown." That last one stopped me cold. They were talking about Emily, my little sister. I backed away and ran toward the end of the hallway, where another mirror waited. I didn't look. I just jumped through. The second door. Now I was back in the arcade. The normal one, or so I thought, until I saw the token machine. It had eyes now. 2 hollow, blinking eyes above the coin slot. And it was crying blood. From the shadows behind the claw machine, something skittered out. Tall, slender, wearing a red hoodie. But this time it wasn't a boy. It was me. Or rather, the reflection version of me. Skin stretched too tight. A smile carved into its cheeks. It ran straight at me. I screamed and dove into the nearest game cabinet, Zombie Bashers, and smashed through the screen like it was paper. The final door. I landed hard, back of the funhouse mirror. This time, there was only one reflection, and it mimicked me perfectly. No grin, no twitch, just me. I stared. Then it asked, "What's your name?" I blinked. "Derek," I said. The reflection smiled. Wrong. The lights exploded. 2:33 a.m. The real game begins. When I came to, I was lying on the food court counter. The red binder was open to the same page, but now the ink was red. Fresh. Round 2 begins tomorrow. Only one of you can leave. I staggered to my feet. All the machines were off. The lights were dim. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw myself walking away into the arcade exit. I ran to the door and slammed my fists against the glass. Outside, in the glow of the streetlight, the other Derek turned, smiled, then vanished into the morning fog. The door opened. I stepped outside, but I don't know if I'm me anymore. My skin feels wrong, like it doesn't quite fit. People looked at me strangely on the train home. One man crossed himself when our eyes met, and when I passed a mirror in my apartment hallway, it blinked. I can't sleep. Again, because my phone just buzzed. No number, just text. Round 4 confirmed. He's wearing your face now. Be ready. Attached was another photo. Me at work. Normal. Except this time, I wasn't behind the counter. I was standing in front of it, smiling at myself. All the machines were off. The lights were dim. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw myself walking away into the arcade exit. I ran to the door and slammed my fist against the glass. Outside, in the glow of the streetlight, the other Derek turned, smiled, then vanished into the morning fog. The door opened. I stepped outside, but I don't know if I'm me anymore. My skin feels wrong, like it doesn't quite fit. People looked at me strangely on the train home. One man crossed himself when our eyes met, and when I passed a mirror in my apartment hallway, it blinked. I can't sleep. Again, because my phone just buzzed. No number, just text. Round 4 confirmed. He's wearing your face now. Be ready. Attached was another photo. Me at work. Normal. Except this time, I wasn't behind the counter. I was standing in front of it, smiling at myself. I thought I was the lucky one, that I'd beaten my reflection in the mirror game. But last night, he walked out instead, the thing wearing my face. Now, people look at me like a stranger, and my own apartment mirror no longer shows me. The rules have changed. The handbook's been rewritten. Tonight, I'm not just working another shift at Pixel Playland. I'm hunting myself down, and if I don't find him before 4:44 a.m., he gets to stay, and I'll be the one trapped in the dark, back in the belly of the beast. I almost didn't come back. Almost. But the thing is, once the arcade gets your scent, it doesn't just let you walk away. All day, my reflection was gone. Every mirror in my apartment was black, like the glass had lost its depth. No more bathroom mirror. No silverware reflections. My face even vanished from selfies. And then the call came. Block number. Just one word in a voice that sounded like mine, only lower. Clock in. I arrived at Pixel Playland 10 minutes early. The red binder was already waiting on the counter, open to a new page. This one soaked in something sticky. Blood? Syrup? I couldn't tell. It smelled like burnt sugar and copper. Tonight's rules were handwritten. Sloppier. Less patient. Tonight's shift. Counterfeits and consumption. 14. The person who looks like you is not you. 15. If they try to talk to you, do not respond. 16. Track him. Follow him. Trap him before he finishes your shift. 17. If he clocks out before you catch him, you'll disappear instead. Bonus rule, do not feed him. He eats pieces of you. I looked up and saw myself, standing behind the popcorn cart across the food court, wiping down the counter like it was a normal day. Same uniform, same face, same tired eyes. But then he smiled at a customer, and his teeth were all wrong. Way too many of them, each too thin and sharp, like needles arranged in a grin. The customer didn't even notice. I watched me, hand him a bag of caramel popcorn with perfect precision, then wave, then wink at me, tracking the imposter. Every part of me screamed to run, but the rules were clear. I had to follow him. I had to trap him before 4:44 a.m. The clock on the wall read 12:05 a.m. I ducked behind the churro stand and watched. He was fast, efficient, charismatic. He made the other employees laugh. Employees who shouldn't exist. This place only had me on the schedule at night. But now there were others. A girl with jelly bean eyes. A guy whose shadow lagged behind his movements. A manager with no face and a voice like static. And they were all talking to him, accepting him, as if I was the imposter now. He moved to the pizza oven next, handled it perfectly, tossed out, made a pepperoni smiley face. Then he looked toward the arcade's entrance, where the boy in the red hoodie waited. Except this time, the boy held something, a silver collar, and he gave it to him, not me. The hunt begins. I followed him past the skee-ball machines, past the tilted air hockey table, into the hallway where the bathrooms and staff lounge sat. He went through the employees-only door. I waited a few seconds, heart pounding like it was trying to escape my ribs, then pushed the door open and crept inside. The lounge was pitch black, smelled like wet fur and burnt meat. I crept forward and nearly screamed when a hand grabbed mine, but it was just a glove, hanging from a hook. I turned to leave. That's when I heard my voice. "I know you're there." The lights flickered on. He was sitting at the break room table, wearing my name tag, drinking from my old coffee mug. He looked up, smiled with that too wide grin, and said, "You were always too slow." The chase. I bolted, ran through the arcade, past the glowing machines, past the broken mirror from last night's game. I could hear him behind me, bare feet slapping the tile, each footfall echoing too loud, like someone banging on sheet metal. Then I heard the voice again, mine, coming from every speaker in the arcade. "Attention customers, Derek will be leaving the building shortly. Say goodbye. He won't be coming back." Every game lit up in red. All the animatronics turned toward me. Their eyes glowed. The token machine laughed. Laughed and laughed and laughed. I dove behind the cotton candy station and crawled into the service tunnel beneath the floor. It smelled like ozone and rotting taffy. I kept crawling until I hit a fork in the path. 2 tunnels, both marked with handwritten signs. Your past, your skin. I didn't hesitate. I chose your skin. Beneath the arcade, the tunnel opened into a mirror chamber. Dozens of standing mirrors surrounded me, each one showing a different version of me. Young, old ball tattooed, injured, monstrous. They all turned at once and started chanting. "He's not done eating. He's still chewing. He took your smile. Next he'll take your spine." I clutched my head. The reflection screamed, then shattered. All of them, except one. That mirror showed the current me. Normal. Bruised. Scared. It whispered, "Bite him." I didn't understand until I looked down and saw the collar in my hand. The one the red-hooded boy had given him. Somehow I'd stolen it. Now I had the power to trap him. But I had to get close enough to bite. Just like he bit into my life. The final confrontation. I emerged back into the food court. Everything was frozen in time. People stood mid-bite, mid-sip, mid-laugh. Only he moved. Me. Walking toward the arcade's exit, a plastic time card in hand. 3:59 a.m. Less than an hour left. I sprinted across the court and tackled him. We tumbled across the floor, trading punches and screams. His skin rippled, slipping into mine and back again. His laughter turned into television static. I grabbed the collar and shoved it onto his neck. He screamed, but it wasn't fear. It was joy. "Thank you," he whispered as the collar clicked shut. Then he melted like wax under a blowtorch. And from a melted flesh, something crawled out. A tiny figure. A boy with a red hoodie and no face. He looked at me, nodded once, then vanished in a puff of arcade tickets. 4:44 a.m., shift complete. The clock on the wall chimed. All the arcade lights shut off at once. The food court dissolved in a fog. I stumbled out the front doors into the sunrise. I looked at my reflection in the arcade glass. It blinked when I didn't, but this time it smiled sadly, like it was tired of the game too. I don't know what's real anymore. Today at home, I found a second set of keys to my apartment, and my bed was warm, like someone had just been sleeping there. The toothpaste cap was off. The toilet seat was up. I live alone. And on the wall, written in steam above my bathroom sink, "One shift left, then you belong to us." Attached to my mirror with a ticket stub was my schedule. Final shift, May 26, 11:11 p.m. Bring your own shadow. I don't know what that means, but I think I'm going to find out soon. Tonight is my last shift at Pixel Playland. The arcade no longer pretends to be normal. It's awake, hungry, and I'm on a menu. The handbook's final page only has one instruction: bring your own shadow. But I don't have one anymore. He took it last night. Now I must go into the heart of this place, the room behind the prize counter, where no worker returns. If I fail, I won't just die. I'll become part of the rules, the thing whispering from behind the red binder. I didn't sleep, didn't try. Spent all day prepping. Flashlight, kitchen knife, a mirror shard taped to my wrist, a pouch of arcade tokens, and the collar from last night. I arrived at 11:05 p.m., 6 minutes early. The mall was dead silent. Not just quiet dead. No air circulation. No distant hums. Nothing but the soft creak of old tiles as I walked toward Pixel Playland. The doors were already open, waiting. Inside, the red binder sat on the counter. Its pages fluttered as I approached, like something beneath the cover was breathing. There was only one page left. One sentence, scrawled in trembling, ink-smudged writing. Final shift, bring your own shadow. Beneath the note was my name tag, but it wasn't mine. It read, Derek/lost item number 231. The floor beneath the food court shimmered. The tiles bent inward like a drain. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The mall disappeared behind me. I was walking down a staircase made of arcade tickets. With each step, a memory was stripped away. I could feel it. My mom's voice. My first kiss. The time I broke my arm. Gone. The final step dissolved under my foot, and I fell into blackness. I landed in a circular room, lit only by blinking neon signs that read, prizes. Redeem yourself. Every shift has a cost. In the center was a booth, guarded by the boy in a red hoodie. Only now he was taller, older, his face still blank. He pointed behind me. I turned and saw them. Every version of me that had ever worked shift here. Hundreds. Some missing eyes. Some twitching. Some burned, stitched, inverted. All staring. The boy spoke in a voice layered with 1,000 echoes. You were the last test. Now we decide. Manager or meal. A lever appeared beside me. One side read inherit, the other burn. I asked the only question that mattered. What is this place? He tilted his head. You made it. And then it showed me. Not in words, in visions. Years ago, I'd visited this mall as a kid. Got lost. Wished out loud for a place where I'd never have to grow up. where games never ended, where people would smile forever. Something heard me. It built this place around that wish. But every wish has a price. It needed workers, players, rules. So it started recruiting through the gaps in the mall's blueprints, through forgotten shifts, deleted schedules, closed-loop hiring systems. It fed on repetition, familiarity, obedience. Each new employee added a rule. Each death created another page in the red binder. And now it wanted me to choose. Rule over this place, or destroy it. I looked down. Still no shadow. That meant I had no authority here. Couldn't make a choice unless I brought it back. That's when I saw it, curled in the corner of the prize booth. My shadow. It looked at me and hissed, "Don't you dare." Its eyes were my eyes, but crueler. It didn't want me to end this, because it had grown powerful down here, feeding on everything I gave up. I lunged for it. It ran. The chase began, through the claw machine jungle, past animatronics wired to the ceiling, over piles of returned uniforms. Every hallway showed me twisted versions of my past. Every turn whispered, "Stay, be the boss, make your own rules." But I didn't want to become them. Didn't want to be the next creature behind the handbook. I cornered the shadow in a room lined with glass. It offered me a deal. "Let me take over. I'll work the shifts. You'll never suffer again." It held the collar from earlier. Tried to trap me, but I was ready. I held up the mirror shard and let the light of the neon reflect off it. The shadow screamed. Its surface began to peel. It wasn't me anymore. It was him, the one who escaped the mirror in part 3. He'd been hiding in my shadow ever since, biding his time, letting me burn out. I threw the collar around his neck, snapped it tight. The creature convulsed, turned inside out, and vanished into a puff of tickets. Back in the central room, the boy in red waited. The lever glowed. My shadow returned to my feet. I could make the choice now. Inherit or burn. The red binder appeared in my hands. It pulsed, whispered promises, said I could erase the worst rules, keep the good ones, improve working conditions for all future victims. But then I remembered the faces of the trapped, the employees who never got to go home. I flipped the binder open and read the final line, now visible in glowing red ink. "You may destroy us only by using your name." I took my name tag, pressed it into the binder, spelled my full name aloud, and ripped it in half. The arcade began to shake. Neon lights burst. Tiles crumbled. Vending machines screamed as their mouths caved in. The air smelled like burnt sugar and old laughter. One by one, the animatronics deactivated. The floor pulled apart. I ran through the collapsing corridors. The mall cracked like an eggshell. The boy in the red hoodie waved once and faded away. I barely made it to the surface. When I turned back, Pixel Playland was gone. Just a dusty construction site. No walls, no machines, no sign it had ever existed. It's been 3 weeks. No strange phone calls, no flickering shadows. My reflection stays put. But sometimes, I hear faint music in my sleep, the 8-bit chime of a forgotten game. And yesterday, I found something on my kitchen table. A single arcade token, scratched into one side. Last chance shift. I buried it, but this morning, it was back, in my pocket. Maybe you'll find one too. If you ever hear music playing in an empty food court after hours, don't follow it. And for the love of God, never read the rules out loud.